There we go. We're officially in. We're started. Well, guys, welcome to the Attachment Point News Roundtable. We got Jeff Kleid today, and Nick is busy, so it's me and Jeff running with it, but it kind of makes sense anyways. He actually introduced us in Orange County a little while back. A lot of the ideas I've had or a lot of the approaches I've taken, I've developed through talking with Jeff. He was one of the first guys in the digital insurance space about 20 years ago. He's made it work on a real big level before, and he's building up again, so I'm looking forward to catching up, seeing what he's up to today and see what we can make happen. But yeah, Jeff, thanks for hopping on. And yeah, we've had a dozen coffees. Thanks for doing a digital version of that.
Yeah, it's a virtual coffee.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly. I got mine right here. Had to make sure, ready for it.
Mine is spring water, but it's all right. I'll count it.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll count it.
But yeah, you've been making some noise lately with the cyber program. Seen some things out there, the cannabis program. I know we're both working with Ollie, which is a really rad platform, and we're excited to be a part of that clan. But I don't know where you want to dive in first, but yeah, a lot of good stuff to discuss.
Yeah, I guess I would probably just say where I see probably the place where I felt I had to be was back in the digital space. And it used to be just online insurance. That was it. That was how you did it, and that's what it was called. But to me, it's a whole digital experience, and it's not even. I guess it's funny because I'm kind of like, I say what I mean and I mean what I say. And so I don't like to sugarcoat things. So one of the reasons why I jumped back in about, a year ago now is that I got tired of trying to help tech people build tech and help insurance people keep tech away. And I just was so, and I know not in the world that we're in. The world we're in, everybody's like tech, insurance ties together. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But I hadn't really seen anybody that was like, all right, we got this technology. How do we actually sell the products?
Right.
How do we actually make money? How do we actually put money in our plate? And so I'm like, you know what? If no one's going to listen, I'm just going to do it again. So
that's cool.
That's it.
I feel like one of the few brokers in the room, and at one of the last InsurTech LAs, a couple other younger brokers had showed up. I felt like some people figured out my secrets or my hack, being around the InsurTech conversations. And I love the InsurTech community. Those guys are cool. It is interesting to be one of the few people that sells or attempts to sell insurance. I'm just barely getting, I'm getting some traction. We got some deal flow, but not working any miracles. There has been a disconnect between the theory and the practice and kind of getting those ideas and that technology on the ground. But yeah, you've always created a little bit of like a, Pat West had an article about insurance grocery store, but kind of a wide berth of products online, niche websites. I feel like I haven't seen anybody else do it that way. A lot of people seem to have one landing pad, but it seems like you developed a few different, independent platforms that are strong on their own that can deliver product.
Well, so let's talk trial and error, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about what the problem with being an early adapter, right? An early adapter, and I'll take it back really quick. 1998, right? I literally was already selling insurance on the internet for 2 years.
That's cool.
And when I had a chance to get this my first program, the fitness program, I can remember, like I think I posted this the other day, but I can remember actually walking with marketing reps in my office, and I had an office where, we had a bunch of people. So I was just a producer in the office before I took over the office. Right. And like walking with marketing reps and actually having them go, how's that insurance program you have? How's that online, that internet-based thing you're doing? How's that, that little smirk, that little joke of disdain or whatever, how, who's going to buy online? Like that was the conversation. So, fast forward to, 15 years later, back in 2013, after I was already, doing it for 15 years, then it was, let's build this online insurance superstore that everyone's going to come to and everyone's going to do it. And I did it. I built it. I actually built a website called Insurance Web Store. And I had 80 different, it wasn't 80 different products. It was 12 different products positioned in 80 different ways on one website. But then, it's too expensive. SEO was expensive. Marketing was expensive. Positioning was expensive. And what I learned, literally at that moment was like, who's going shopping for insurance? Like, who's going to actually come to Jeff's website and go, today I think I'm going to buy personal trainer insurance. no, you know what? I'm going to buy event insurance. Like it's not like they're going to a supermarket. So I realized
Yeah.
that was my flaw in the model. And all of a sudden now I see everyone kind of doing that flaw. But I'm like, great, but you built great tech. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to build it as a landing page. And then I'm going to build whatever I can or get tech guys to build whatever I can so that the
Mhm.
end user consumer and the agent can actually use that product
And
now for their need.
I'm guilty of that. I mean, I built some
I
decent
better wait.
websites.
Jeff, it's time's up.
Yeah, no. I'm guilty of that. I built websites that like had good forums on them. I was like, oh great, my friends can just come on here when they want homeowners, when they want renters, when they want whatever else. I can capture the data, get them the policy. I didn't realize the inertia and kind of the effort it takes to get people to lean in on those policies, to move them, to actually break them open. So that's why I think like the tech to the broker for the consumer is a really smart play. Help them move easier. Yeah, no, but same thing. I made that mistake a year ago.
Yeah, but by the way, but you learn so quick, right? Like I
Learn
literally, I mean,
fast.
I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. So I had about nearly a $600,000 revenue book of literally low dollar, high volume policies. And I'm
Mhm.
talking about 170 to $210 annual premium policies. Think of that, right? And I have all of that, and I spent about all in probably $150,000 over the course of the next 3 years building this online insurance superstore
Mhm.
between testing things, going on Twitter, doing all these stupid things because I had the revenue, I had the ability, and I
Yeah,
was so confident in myself. But you did it in a year. Like you put up something, and by the way, you're technologically able to do it,
but the
right?
tools are different.
But
I have
well,
Squarespace now. I mean, that wasn't there 5 years ago.
that's my point. That's my
Yeah.
point is that the time is now for every one of us to do it. So now it's about, and even though everyone uses the term like niche,
Mhm, mhm.
the problem even with niching is that if you niche into one niche, you're still an island waiting for a ship to come in until
Right.
everybody either uses your product as an agent or until every buyer comes in and figures out how to actually walk through the quote. Because even my online cyber portal that we just
Mhm.
created, I don't know if you saw, I
It
posted that
looked really
silly
good. No,
video.
I watched
Um,
the video. No, it looked really good. Yeah, absolutely.
well, it's it's a 50-year-old guy looking at telling you how to go through a digital experience in 4 minutes. But
Yeah.
what's funny about it is even with that, I have to make a different video for end users or a
Mhm.
different video for like associations and groups. So it still has to then pick up traction before I'm going to see enough revenue to justify all the spend, all the time, all the energy. So you have to almost niche in a bunch of niches,
Mhm.
but you really do want to drill down and go, this is where I'm going to be. This is like what I'm going to work on. That's kind of why, because people say to me, Jeff, wow, you're all over the place. You're all doing this.
I I agree. You need a couple bets. You don't know
Yeah,
what's gonna shake out.
right.
Yeah.
And it is intentional though, because like the real spend and effort, like I put into this cyber, I now have an integration platform that collects data for cyber that I can plug in for general liability.
Yeah, I was gonna say bops, whatever. Yeah. And,
So
once
it's
you learn how to spool up one, you can spool up more too. Like once I've kind of learned, once you do one website or one program, you can kind of rinse and repeat with other projects or ideas.
yeah.
So,
Well, plus you, I mean,
yeah.
you're starting to realize, you'll realize this, and I think you'll realize this sooner rather than later. Like this goes back again. This goes back to 2003. I remember, I had at that point I had about 70 employees, including about 15 producers and these other people, account managers, CSRs, whatever. And I remember sitting with the web guys, okay,
Mhm.
web developers, guys that were going to create our web experience.
Hop into JavaScript back in the day.
Well, yeah, it was crazy because people are misled. They don't realize that just because you have someone do it, you still have to do all this homework. Like you
Mhm.
have to tell them what your experience and what you want.
Totally.
And so
Yeah.
I remember we ended up with 83 pages as a website. And I remember, saying to them, look, if a one-legged man with a cane wants to buy auto insurance, I want to figure out how to make sure I can say, yes, go to my one-legged man with a cane webpage because I want to be the expert in that space, even if I don't. That's why we had 83 pages. There was
Mhm.
no other reason. So you almost have to do that today. You have to be able to send your client or your prospect or even agents to the specific task that they need to get out of their way and get to the next thing.
I haven't used it yet, but I know TypePad has some logic you can build in. I think Google Forms does too. where, you know, maybe you'll have one field, depending on the answer, it shoots you down a rabbit hole one direction or another. I want to play with TypePad a little bit more.
Right.
But,
So there's a few of them. And I'm going to hold a little something back because
oh, you should.
want to
Yeah.
have, well, no, because I want to have some value with agents as I move forward and with
Yeah.
some other people. Because even though I've been in retail for years, you know, I'm totally, you know, like you and I are using Ollie differently, right? Like
Yeah.
you jumped in front lines. I'm going to go sell insurance. I have an experience, and it's
Yeah.
awesome because it's an awesome experience. I look at Ollie and I'm like, geez, I can build another agency of 80 people, but instead of having 16 producers and 60 support staff and pay $5 million in payroll, I can let insurance agents own their own domain, be a part of what I'm doing, help them drill down in niche, and then be like an agent's agent instead of true wholesaler or true,
And that's what, in your experience, has definitely put you in a position where I think it makes sense to do that. I still have some basic blocking and tackling, and I feel like I need to learn good, bad, and different, the traditional side of the industry. You know, I need to become a BOP expert, you know, get some commercial auto done. I feel like I'm still learning that stuff. And in a couple of years, I can elevate to more of a, you know, 10,000 foot view, you know, but hopefully I'll get some deal flow I can send your way too, you know, and some cool stuff.
You know what, Don? I
Yeah.
love, I'm sorry I cut you off. I do the same
No,
thing
you're
with
good.
coffee, but no, I don't even know if you need to do that because of
Yeah.
your background and the way you're dialed into like these groups. You know, I mean, the way like broker brews, right?
Yeah, it's fun.
Broker brews. You had, you know, a dozen, 15 people there the other night. It was awesome. Totally got me out of my comfort zone because I don't usually go.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it, man. Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, once
Yeah.
I tell people, you know, even when I wrote my book, I tell people I hate going out, but once
Yeah.
I'm out, you can't stop me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love being home, but like with all of that stuff that you got going on, like it's so in, you know, set in our heads that we're taught by people. Yeah, you have to pick up some GL, you have to pick up some property, you have to go write an apartment building, you have to
Yeah.
go to renters, you have to go friends and family.
Like there's a checklist.
Yeah, you really don't. What you need to
Yeah.
do is you need to go, okay, so Broker Brews does this. What if I went to you know, the tech meetups and I became the, you know, the cyber guy,
Yeah.
the office guy, the workers' comp guy, all for the tech community. And now you grow with them as you grow. Like instead of, because renters, right? Think about it. When you sell a renter's insurance or you sell a home or an auto, you're selling to a consumer. They're buying that product. They have it in their pocket. They may or may not. They're not going to absolutely go see Brett.
Yeah.
Unless someone says, hey, who did your homeowners? But if you go in the business community and you go to a tech community or you go to a fine art community or whatever community you go to, you're going to actually find like a guy that's going to go, you know, Brett's awesome. Brett got us this cyber coverage.
Yeah.
You hear that so-and-so just got hacked the other day? Call Brett now.
Like, or maybe hop in with the leaders of that group. Yeah, there's OC Tech Happy Hour. We should cruise that. I usually ignore this, but just in case we're getting a special guest, you know, it's something.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see him yet. But yeah, OC Tech Happy Hour is a great one. I think being a resource for those guys to lean on makes a ton of sense. That'd be a good one for me to get back to.
Yeah, well, I'm taking. I told you, I call it. We talk all the time, so let's not.
Yeah.
I am constantly badgering you because you have something I didn't have when I was just starting out. I had to build my network. I started with literally, and I remember this because it went full circle. I remember moving to the San Fernando Valley. I had sold at that point a couple of policies to, you know, like friends. In fact, my first life insurance policy, even though I'm not a life guy, but I was life licensed, was to my fraternity brother. And until 2017, 20 years later, I got $3.40 a quarter or something like that for life insurance, right? But I remember going to the Valley and I remember going into rooms like in the Jewish community.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that seemed like a good fit for me because I came out of a Jewish fraternity. And I remember like not knowing anybody. And then, oh, there's a fraternity brother from another house. There's a fraternity. Next thing you know, I built up this great set of relationships. And I remember, you know, all of a sudden, you know, 15 years later, when I actually sold out my first book to my partner, I remember moving from the Valley to Orange County. And I remember going to an event down here in Orange County. And it was the first time in probably a dozen years where I walked into a room and I only knew one person out of 300. And it was totally different. It wasn't for business. It was for pleasure, but it was still weird. But you've kind of already overcome all of that. So now you've just got to go into those rooms that you're already in, that you've already developed relationships, and now plant your flag. And it's a no-brainer. Like
I got a funny hack for networking, and hopefully this doesn't sound bad. You look for the people who aren't plugged in. You just scoop people up along the side and you make friends with them. And then they're usually uncomfortable and they love the fact that like you help them feel a little bit better. So that's the whole talk to 2 to 5 people max. If you do more than that, you're doing it wrong. Like it's a weird game to try to take it to the center of the room, to try to be like the dynamo that everyone's paying attention to. That's exhausting. But yeah, find the people who aren't connected, take care of them, and they'll appreciate it, you know?
Well, so it's funny. I never even thought about that, but that is scooping up, scoop up the outliers. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I think it's awesome. And you know, one of the things I've always done though, I mean, you know, as it relates to networking, you know, I always try to show up early. And if I show up early, I try to put myself next to the host.
Oh yeah, you can see key people. If you get there early, you'll be able to talk to the organizers. That's smart too. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, well, because you're the host. I mean, you're the guy that's been planning this stuff. Things. So,
planning.
If you're up against the host, what's great about that is every host wants the experience to be awesome for their guests. So they're going to do everything in their power to connect you. Even if you go to something where the host happens to be a total competitor, they're not going to let anyone know that bugs them. Even if it bugs them like crazy. Like if you go into a place where it's hosted by another insurance guy, they're not going to say, "Oh, Brett's my competition." They go, "Oh yeah, meet Brett here," whatever. And in their head, they may be going, "Oh crap, Brett's here." But
I think, yeah, it's such a big area that we're in. We're lucky too. LA, Orange County. I feel like all the little guys can succeed. We're not Aeons and whatever Marshes running into each other. Kind of random. So the Broker Brews looks good now. So a year and a half ago, I went to Aliso Viejo Insurance meetup, and I was working at a local agency. I won't say it because the story is kind of like funny, but a week later, I get an email, "Hey, will you take over the insurance meetup?" I'm like, I'm trying not to get fired from a goofy local insurance job. It's not going great. I don't think I can run this meetup. A week later, I get an email from meetup. This group's going to fold unless you run it. The first 3 times, it was like me and one other person, maybe 2 for like the first 3 months. We tried to make an InsurTech thing. It was like 6 months later, my buddy Ryan had the idea to call it Broker Brews. Then it'd be like 6, 8, 10 people. Then it was a big deal when we hit 10, then 13. Now we have 16, and I think we found a good location. But looking good, like any other startup, was a year and a half of consistency.
Well, I think it's awesome. I literally, I was late because I literally, I had some other stuff going on here. But I literally was like, you know what? I didn't go to LA to the InsurTech because I used to go to LA InsurTech. I go, I've got 2 hours to run out. And I ran out and I did it. And I'm so glad I did. And I'll tell you what it brought back for me. So this goes back to the mid 90s when I first started. I got tapped into the Independent Insurance Agents and Brokers Association up in the Valley. And they had, for years, they were dormant in what they used to call the Young Insurance Professionals, which was YIP. That's what they called it.
I like it.
Now the Young Agents and Brokers, so it's
okay.
Whatever. So they changed a little bit, the Young Agents Committee or something, but it's a big deal. And I remember, it was like probably dormant for about 7 or 8 years. And then they asked me to run it. And kind of like you, our first meeting was, 4 people sitting. But I got to tell you, we turned it in, and this was awesome. So we ended up within less than 12 months, we ended up having our what's called first annual casino night. Okay, and the first annual casino night ended up having about a dozen people kind of on the committee, and I think we ended up with about 70 people.
That's awesome.
It is awesome, and I'll tell you what's really cool was that all those guys that did that with me, that casino night still exists in the San Fernando Valley.
Cool.
And it's now 20, I've got to say it's probably close to 22 years, 23 years since we did it. And it's literally like one of the big events in the Valley. And I haven't been for probably a dozen years or 10 years or so. But cool. It's the sponsors want to go there, the insurance companies want to go there. And what people don't understand, I don't think, is that like just your room the other night, right? You had, for example, the guy from BBSI. You had the aviation, expert. You had, you had a couple of guys, kind of a couple outliers that don't do anything in the insurance space. So you've kind of opened it up a little differently. Yeah. But at the same time, the BBSI guy is a perfect example. And I'm not even, not even trying to give him a shameless plug, but the fact is he sees something that he might pick up a couple of agents that might not know about him. And so if he does see both the enjoyment and the success, he may also become someone who says, "Hey, I want to host the next one. I want to buy drinks for everybody." Right? Like it's a really it's a really inexpensive way for them to touch all the people you're putting together. And instantly when Brett calls them and says, I have something that's incidental, but it may fit your thing. What do you think about trying it? They're going to make you look like a superstar.
Yeah, I always for me, I look at the long game and it's like guys you're going through war with, and it's just your buddies. It's a debrief time, it's a networking time. Um, it's something hopefully people look forward to, you know. Kind of so random, I want to backtrack a little bit to the casino night. Did that play into the title for your book? And was that part of like your idea of taking what comes to you a little bit?
That's funny. No, you know, it's funny. No, it never played into my book, but I really love Texas Hold'em. And
Yeah.
I really love the strategy of Texas Hold'em, and I love the fact. What's always caught my attention is whenever I play Texas Hold'em in the same groups, and I have for years. By the way, that's what we need. We need a regular, literally $20 buy-in Texas Hold'em game regularly, because I miss it, and it was awesome. But what it always reminded me of is that you're sitting at the table with all these people that are very similar yet different, and so you got to understand like how to work with them. And in poker, you're working against them, but really, you know, you got to figure it out. And the only way you're able to figure it out is the only difference between you and I is we have two cards that differentiate us. So to me, the card you were dealt came out of that.
Like yeah, totally. And I always think that that's what life is kind of like. I grew up around a lot of like sports, poker, or whatever else, just brothers, you know, dad who played college sports was a frat guy. But yeah, I always think like life is that. You're checking your hand, you're checking what's going on, and every so often you have to reassess. I do think, especially in the startup world, especially the tech to lean on, you just have to do it quicker than people historically would have. You know, like I've redone all my websites at least once, and I've only been messing around for a year and a half. I know I need to redo Newport Beach Insurance Center right now, kind of chunk it down, make it direct.
Get attention on it, but you're also you'll figure out this, that even it's a hard argument, because I know that I'm great at positioning, but I'm not great at branding, so to speak. Even though I have good brands on some of the things I'm doing,
yeah, there's stuff working. Yeah.
You kind of spend all that time about your Newport Beach brand and the chair versus the boat and the whole thing. Honestly, my wife and I, when I left my company in 2008, my lawyer said to me, we need to know by tomorrow morning what the name of your company is. And I literally, my wife and I were scribbling it down, and I'm like, you know, Elite Risk. Like literally that was it. And then it incorporated. And then believe it or not, you know, then when I did all the personal training insurance was personaltrainerinsurance.com. No one really even knew about Elite Risk. So it was like, it went dormant. And then all of a sudden, less than a year ago, I kind of got all my licenses again, because my non-compete was up with Aon, and all this stuff's going on. And it's like, well, Elite Risk is my company. It's been dormant for years, but it's still here and it does things. And, you know, so it's really kind of funny. But even now it's like, if you look at me, I'm like I'm kind of a train wreck of names, right? I got Elite Risk, and I got and then, you know, then I got over here, retail does this, and then wholesale does this, and programs do this. And, you know, and it's not meant for that. It's just, they're very intentional.
I think it's cool.
It's not about a website. It's about a space and time that I'm trying to get someone to get to buy something.
Yeah, I think of it like real estate. I used to joke around that like social media was like an Oklahoma land grab. And like, I really think LinkedIn was only really helpful the past year or two. It really hit a stride. But it's just positioning, and you're having more doors, but it's that balancing act of, you know, more versus effective and making sure they're good fits. Pat West would joke around that I had a brand before I had a business, and it was kind of by accident. I made the website just to have forms to kind of get people to sign up policies with. For the original.
I remember that. That was when we first started talking. You actually were like, no, I'm going to put up a form for this on Broker Brett. And you're just, no, I mean, look, I consider myself, you know, accidentally getting back into insurance.
Yeah.
Planning on, I thought I was done. I knew I wasn't done financially, but you know, it wasn't until I was like consulting in the insurtech space that I really realized that these guys are missing all this good stuff. Like there's all this great tools for us insurance people to use, and if I could just help insurance people use them better. And I mean, think about it. You can literally, you know, if you send someone to Newport Beach, you know, insurance, you got to think about it though. Like, what do you want them to do there?
Good point. Yeah.
what do you want? Like, what do you want them to do when they get to Newport Beach Company? And it's funny because I don't want to offend and I don't want to do anything, but since I've been through that whole thing where I'm like,
No,
yeah, it's
fire away. I
great
like,
website in the world.
yeah.
What do I want people to do? Like, what do I, and in fact, so last night I was at this thing, it had nothing to do with insurance. And I was there and it was interesting because there was some people helping specifically getting through cancer. His wife had just gone through it, and it was all about cannabis. And it was something I actually set up 3 months ago for my mom's community. And there was 150, we'll call them elderly people. But it was awesome. But the one guy, they've got like 2,000 followers. They posted a bunch of stuff on Instagram, and the wife was telling me, what they're doing and how they're doing his business. And I was looking at it, and it's everything I can do to not give them any input if they don't ask, because I don't want to be that guy. But on the other hand, I'm like, what are you guys really trying to accomplish? Like, if you're a business, it's great information and it's great. I'm sure you figured out how to get 3,000 followers, but or 2,000 followers, but have you really dug through to see who's following you and what the purpose is and what they're trying to accomplish? And is there value from you and to you? Because the value from you is you're doing these great posts and people are paying attention, but are they paying attention digitally because of the 46 hashtags you're doing, or have you engaged with them? And it's just I struggle with it because like people look at me and they're like, well, you wrote a book, you did this, you only have 500 followers. I'm like, yeah, because you know what? I don't need someone to follow me that's a bot. I don't need someone to do whatever. I have real conversations.
I think the other thing about like the follower count and stuff is you can hack that stuff. You can put money on Fiverr to get 1,000, 10,000, but I'd rather the digital footprint to lag a little bit on the effectiveness and be a lot more meaty than to try to sort of overstretch or overstate what you're doing at a given time. And the other thing, I think we're similar on this, like not really trying to impress anybody, just trying to like pay attention and see where I can make a buck and be helpful and grow a business, but I enjoy being open and candid and in a conversation along the way, because that's how we learn and grow and add new tools. And I really think it's a big enough industry for like all of us to do well. We're not going to run out of policyholders, for the most part.
I'll tell you what's interesting. So, you talk about LinkedIn. I'll tell you, lately I've noticed some funny things on LinkedIn that are kind of interesting. So on the one hand, I posted the cyber and I got a little bit of attention, a little bit of, hey, congrats, this and that, which is awesome. And you need an attaboy, right? Then I posted on the active shooter what we're doing. And I posted it from here because it was such a process to decide to launch it. And what's interesting about that, I got a ton, a ton is probably a lot, 3 or 4, but so I got 3 or 4, believe it or not, insurance company underwriters specific to terrorism and war and this new active shooter discussion, all engaging me, trying to figure out like what my steps are and what we're doing. So it was really weird. Like it was it's like
needed one. It's a really interesting conversation.
Well, that's a whole, but it's not, unfortunately it is needed. It is awesome. And if I do it right, my goal is that people get preparedness training.
Right.
That's my goal.
That's
and
the point.
Insurance follows, because unfortunately, if the insurance has to pay out, something bad happens. So like I don't want it, right? So I want it to be about the preparedness, but the point the point is the LinkedIn like thought process, how like clearly people are looking at all your stuff, but totally new random people. It caught their attention so much that they wanted to engage personally. Jeff, let's grab a call. Let's do whatever. And then the funniest part, which is not active shooter, was then, I don't know if you saw my post the other day, which is hilarious, that, some marketing guy approached me and said, hi, first name, or something like that, right? So I posted, it's had more views, more stupid comments from people I don't know, more sort of stuff. So it's kind of like, it almost really does tell you, you really can't overthink what you're doing. You just gotta kind of roll with it.
Well, keep it conversational, keep it like this, keep it genuine. And I think people can sniff that out, you don't want to watch them fluffy campaign. That's what TV commercials are for, but I think those easy mediums are helpful. But
we all can't control ourselves.
Yeah. What's that?
But we all can't control ourselves. We still, we have to do it.
No, totally. But I really like your question of like, what do you want them to do? Like when they come to the website, there's a little bit too much broadness right now in Newport Beach Insurance Center. I think I got to settle back to a few things, but that's going to be my, little takeaway from the conversation today for sure, You know?
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, it's just fact, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's like, what do you want?
Mhm.
It's great. I want to totally sell insurance in shorts and flip flops, and that
Yeah.
means I have to go through agents to do it. Like, it's
Yeah.
really, I've already been in the suits. I've already been on the front lines. I've already done it. And by the way,
Yeah.
I'll go on the front lines and in suits any direction I need
Yep.
to. If someone says to me, Jeff, I need you to come explain this to my client that's going to pay us $2,000 for cyber insurance, I'll be like, tell me where to stand.
Yep.
If that's what you need to sell the policy, that's what I'm going to do. Same thing that the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar insurance company once said to me in front of all my employees. I said, so if we're going to a liquor store, in the corner liquor store on Wilshire Boulevard, you'll come with us to sell it. He goes, Jeff, if you think that's a good use of my time for you, I'll be there.
The other kind of funny thing I've been doing lately is a little bit more casual in the clothes, but keeping the press shirt, the press slacks, an extra
Yeah.
undershirt, and the suit just in the car.
Yeah, you don't need suit. You got Newport Beach Insurance Company.
Right.
You need closed-toed shoes, maybe.
Got to
You know,
fake it till I make it. Just kidding.
yeah. No, I mean, because I don't even think like when you go to when you go to, and I know you want to wrap it up. So
No, you're good.
when you go to like a client, for example, so I had a client, and I'll say it only because it's the only client I can talk about. But I had a client that was Jesse James, West Coast
Oh,
Shopper.
wow. That's
Okay?
cool.
So I had West Coast Shoppers for years, and I'll tell you how the first day went. The very first day that I got the account, it was through his accountant, which was called a business manager. And I went there in a suit to the business manager.
Mhm.
And I go there, we do the whole thing. He's like, we have a need right now. Can you come down with me? It's down in Long Beach. We're literally in like Wilshire corridor up in LA. He goes, can you go down to Long Beach with me right now? I want you to meet Jesse. I want to get you in there. And I go, yeah, no problem. We're walking out the door. He goes, lose the tie, unbutton the shirt, pull the sleeves up, and get your jacket in the car.
Yeah.
You're already screwed. Like, literally. So I went in there that way. And the next 3.5 years, I had to go there about every 3 to 4 weeks just because of the uniqueness of the account. And I literally went there in jeans.
Mhm.
And quite frankly, I got into the whole West Coast Shopper, different shirts, attire.
Yeah.
I got into it, for years. That's all I was wearing. And I would go in there and I blended in. But the suit that's what you did.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that was the way you sold insurance.
I see what you're saying, though. Just meet the moment, kind of like, what are you trying to do? Like you're saying, meet the moment. But yeah, let's jump on this one, but we'll do it again. We'll sneak Nick on here next time because he's to blame for all the good conversations. And man,
he's awesome. These guys have really, they made me, they're to blame for me getting back in insurance and me embracing all, this crazy tech.
I think they set the insurance news guys set a very cool tone. That's a fun to be, tribe to be a part of that cares, it's a fun tribe, but we'll catch you soon. And thanks for getting on, Jeff. I appreciate it. Have a great, rest of your Saturday. Of course.